Well, Guybrush Threepwood, you do turn up in the strangest places.
Hi, Elaine. Do you think you could help me out?
How did you get into this mess?
It's kind of a long story.
Oh, that's okay. I've got time.
If it wasn't already clear, I have something of a thing for point-and-click adventure games. I couldn't tell you what it was about these games, it just clicked. Games of this variety were all the more popular back in the early 90s before the dip in sales began to take its toll on the industry. Adventure games began to get cancelled, left and right. It looked like the genre had finally died out and it was doomed to be part of history, in the back of a used textbook that some guy had doodled phalluses over and sneezed on, making the pages all sticky and gross. However, something happened in the mid-2000s, where Telltale Games arrived on the scene and began to create their own adventure games, which really hit the mark with their Sam & Max series, a continuation of a LucasArts game from the early 90s. I guess this resurrection caught the eye of LucasArts themselves, who decided they could stop whoring out Star Wars for a second to make their own revival.
Heroes never die.
I suppose this worked out for them because after the special edition of Secret of Monkey Island came tumbling down, its sequel came shortly afterwards. This was Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. The remake incorporated the features of the previous game with a complete reworking of the graphics and soundtrack, as well as including voice acting, such as Dominic Armato's rendition of Guybrush. Beautiful. The game looks a lot better than the previous game's remake, with Guybrush actually having hair that looks somewhat normal. The backgrounds look fantastic, and I haven't seen anything peculiar or out of place like a bash thumb like in the last game. The game also returns with a fantastic wit. A lot more puzzles are included, some of which are pretty ridiculous and pretty out there, to the point where, as someone who has completed this game before, I still needed to use the hint system because what? More dialogue branches also appear, and I'd honestly say they're a lot more fun than the previous games.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
A woodchuck could chuck no amount of wood since a woodchuck can't chuck wood.
But if a woodchuck could chuck and would chuck some amount of wood, what amount of wood would a woodchuck chuck?
Even if a woodchuck could chuck wood, and even if a woodchuck would chuck wood, should a woodchuck chuck wood?
A woodchuck should chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood, as long as a woodchuck would chuck wood.
Oh, shut up.
There also appears to be a lot more variety to really make sure you feel in control of the conversation.
Come on, you little weasel.
I'll be back.
Come on.
The game also provides a much better verb interaction prompt than the first game. Instead of having to scroll or remember the random letters of the keyboard to select a verb, the game provides a form of wheel to interact. It provides Guybrush a few options. Some of them, yes, incredibly useless, but it does simplify the process. The game opens with an even more helpless than usual Guybrush Threepwood dangling on a rope, as Elaine drops in to ask how he got into this mess. Since this is Guybrush we're talking about, it's obviously not a very straightforward story, as he launches into a long spiel about how he wound up in this situation, which is where our game begins. His story begins on Scow Island, with Guybrush having travelled there in search of the mysterious treasure, Big Whoop. Guybrush at this point has become that really annoying guy who focuses on his past. You might bump into him on the street and he might immediately be like, "Hey, do you remember that time I did that thing 15 years ago?" And you're like, "Well, how could I forget?" Not because it was a memorable occasion for all to enjoy, but because this guy just hasn't shut up about it since it happened. Unfortunately for Guybrush, the poor pirate finds that nobody seems to believe that such a scrawny nobody could have possibly defeated the fearsome ghost pirate LeChuck. And somehow I can't really blame them. Of course, having vanquished evil, Guybrush has become insanely rich, which will no doubt be of use on his adventures here on and it's gone. Largo Legrand serves as the island's antagonist slash stereotypical bully from an 80s movie. The first part of the game focuses on trying to escape from Scab Island, which is currently on lockdown by Largo, who has currently got everyone too terrified to stand up to him. However, Guybrush manages to talk to the voodoo lady, who advises him on how he can make a voodoo doll to defeat Largo once and for all, because as you know, pirates would be too hesitant to confront enemies in combat. Guybrush is assisted by a few characters, such as the voodoo lady and Wally, who inadvertently helps, I guess.
Hey, where's my monocle? I can't see a thing without me monocle. I'll never be able to afford a new one.
Wally may go as perhaps the most pathetic person I've ever seen. In order to create the voodoo doll, Guybrush must gather 4 parts related to Largo. The first is something of the dead. Fortunately, it just so happens his grandfather's grave sits at the top of the graveyard of Scab Island. Thank God for that, I guess. The second part is something of the head, which we managed to find in Largo's room, after we set a ravenous alligator on the loose on Scab Island. We also managed to snag the third part of the recipe by playing a mischievous prank on Largo with the old bucket of mud on top of the door routine. Largo goes to the dry cleaners to get it cleaned, and we manage to steal a lovely pearly bra. If it's for the recipe, I guess we gotta go with it. I think it's actually really sweet that nobody questions Largo's fondness of wearing ladies' underwear, which is something I can really appreciate in a wholesome game like this, as well as the digging up of the grandfather. The final part is something of the body, but it's lucky for us that Largo is pretty disgusting and spits all over the wall at the bloody lip. Just add paper and we're... ew. With all the ingredients, Guybrush is ready to shove tiny little pins into his enemy, like a real pirate would. During his taunts, Guybrush decides to show off the still wriggling beard of LeChuck to Largo, who just so happens to have been the infamous pirate's first mate. Now, if we think about it, what kind of sick person kills a person and takes a part of their body to show off to random people? Oh, Guybrush, that's who. Largo manages to snag the beard, thus ensuring LeChuck's return and Guybrush's own demise. To save himself, Guybrush needs to continue to hunt Big Whoop, which is his only chance of survival. However, conveniently, nobody knows where the treasure could be, or even what it is. Which kinda makes you wonder why people bother. It just so happens that 4 pirates once found the treasure and they split the map in 4.
Rapscallion, the cook, young Lindy, the cabin boy, Mr. Rogers, the first mate, and Captain... Good heavens! Captain Marley! Wonder if there's any relation.
Luckily enough, all these map pieces can be found on nearby islands. While the previous game would have you go through 2 islands, each one at a time, the sequel instead includes up to 4 islands to explore, with 3 being able to be travelled between. These islands are Booty Island, Fat Island, and of course, Scab Island. Booty Island is a fantastic pirate island governed by Elaine Marley, who just so happens to be Guybrush's ex-girlfriend. There's a lot for Guybrush to do here, such as the most piratey activity of all, spitting. Everyone knows if you spit everywhere, then you're a pirate. You're also a clatty rat, but hey, you do you. There's also some familiar faces here, some friendly and some not as much. As an expert introvert, I know how to handle conversations like this.
I could spend a lot of time in a coffin like this. Look at how freely I can wiggle my toes. Hey, I think the lid's stuck. Excuse me, friend. Could you see if the clasp is closed on this thing? I seem to be stuck. Hello? Is anybody out there? Okay. A joke. Now get me out of here. Open this coffin right now. Someone's going to pay for this. I'd bust out of here, but the dang thing's built too well.
Good gravy, that is genuinely horrible. What is wrong with this man? He is more evil than LeChuck could ever be. Of course, since Guybrush's ex-girlfriend is here, he has to do the typical act of sneaking into her party and stealing her stuff. You know, that he wasn't invited to. That's alright though, as we managed to win an invitation for a rigged gambling ring that comes with a swell costume. Luckily for us, she just happens to keep it lying out in the open. This is going to be easy. Ha 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 ha.
Nice doggy. Try and catch me, old man.
Oh, look out for that rake.
For some weird reason, she doesn't seem too keen on us stealing her grandfather's map. What's with the sudden 180 from last time?
Reservations? For looting?
Oh, yes, very popular when the governor's away. Chaos would ensue if we didn't have a system.
In order to appease Elaine, Guybrush must apologise for everything he's done. Although it's much funnier because every dialogue branch hosts more insults than a sword fight on Melee Island.
I'm not sure, but don't you owe me some money? How's your sister? The really good-looking one? I'm waiting for your apology. Still ignoring fashion, huh? Yeah, good for you.
That's the last straw!
However, he eventually relents, only for her to realise he's only using her to get to the map, so she throws it out the window. What kind of way is that to treat your grandfather's priced treasure map? It blows off to a cliffside that's too far to reach in typical fashion, but that's okay because we cheated a fisherman out of his fishing rod earlier. Aha! This feeble puzzle is no match for... Are you kidding me? Okay, fine, I guess we can climb up this tree and oh god damn it, Guybrush is dead. Or at the very least concussed, and begins having dreams of his parents as dead skeletons, which, if that isn't a disturbing sign of severe mental issues, then I don't know what to tell you. These skeletons provide Guybrush with a vital message, one that will surely help his adventures.
We have some information for you, son.
Really? Great! What is it?
Well, we're going to give it to you in the form of a song.
Okay.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek.
After fixing the broken oar, Guybrush manages to climb to the top of the tree, but can't quite find the map in the big pile of papers. That's okay, let's just pick up this huge dog and just throw it into the pile of papers. Hey, it worked. I mean, of course it worked! Fat Island is slightly less hospitable, with Guybrush being immediately arrested and thrown in jail as a result of a sizable bounty placed on him by LeChuck. However, it's easier to simply escape from jail and frame someone else instead. Fat Island isn't quite as piratey and full of parties as either Scab or Booty Island, however we can instead find fun at the library. Guybrush finally managed to track down Rum Roger's hiding spot in a small island next to Fat Island, but it's blocked off by some waterfall. But that's okay, accessing it is a simple affair. You just need to steal a monkey from the bloody lip on Scab Island by hypnotising him with a banana on the metronome, and then use him on a pump as a makeshift monkey wrench. That hurt me on a whole different level. However, Rum's son insists that Guybrush beat him in a drinking game. However, Guybrush is almost as much as a lightweight as I am. By swapping out the grog for the equivalent of Bud Light, Guybrush manages to be victorious. Again, through cheating. You know what they say, cheaters never win, but winners always cheat. We manage to snag the map piece from the skeletal remains. The third piece of the map is held by the cook Rapscallion, whose burial place can be found in the Scab Island Cemetery. Using the key we borrowed from Stan,
Yoo-hoo! Help! I can't get out of here!
We find Rap's final burial place, but no map. So what do? Oh, that's right, we just need to resurrect him.
Phew! That was a close one.
After turning off Rap's gas, we manage to score our third piece of map. Gross. The final piece of map is held on a shop on Booty Island.
That's 6 million pieces of 8. Do you want it?
I can't afford that much.
You're telling me? The shopkeeper offers a more realistic method of paying, tracking down a sunken ship and bringing back its figurehead. This is where Guybrush's knack for holding his breath for 10 minutes really pays off here. In case you're wondering, unlike the last game, Guybrush cannot drown. I actually waited around for you to make sure.
What did you do? Order this ship out of the back of a comic book?
Very funny.
With that, we have all 4 pieces of the map to Big Whoop, which we take to Wally the cartographer. While we help this pathetic little guy with a small errand at the International House of Mojo, he conveniently gets kidnapped by Largo. However, it just so happens there's a lovely little box heading straight to LeChuck's evil lair. How fortunate, I think.
Looks like another box of live snakes.
Sounds like it, too.
Well, let's get it on the truck.
Guybrush finds himself in another of LeChuck's fortresses. Just how many of these does he have? This one houses a weird amount of skeleton doors. But how do we know which to go through? Well, if we look at the spit-encrusted paper we used earlier for Largo's voodoo doll, we find that Guybrush wrote down the song sung by his skeletal parents. So we need to follow the door that matches each verse. Because again, as I've always said before, adventure games need to be complicated. Can't we just put up signs or coloured lines on the floor? I mean, I feel this place would not pass any fire drills, that's for sure. However, it turns out this was all a trap. Apparently the kidnapping of Wally was to lure Guybrush in. I'm not too sure why they didn't just grab Guybrush on his way to Wally, since it's evident Largo wouldn't have had any issues whatsoever grabbing him, that's for sure. But okay, whatever. To kill his nemesis, LeChuck ties up both Wally and Guybrush above a pit of acid, using a very elaborate system.
Why didn't you just shoot me when I came in?
Because we had an extra disc.
If you were sorely disappointed that you didn't see Guybrush die earlier because you're some weird sick cretin, then don't worry. If you wait too long to escape, Guybrush is lowered into the acid to die. Or not, since he's already telling us this story.
You honestly expect me to believe you were disintegrated in acid?
Sure, well, I...
And yet here you are telling me all about it, looking very integrated indeed.
Yes, well, that is,
Guybrush manages to escape through engaging in his proficient pirate spitting capabilities.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
Both of them manage to escape, somehow. But they wind up in a really dark room. Thankfully, we have some matches to illuminate the room and... oh no. See, bet you wish you had clear markers for fire escape routes now, eh? With that, Guybrush lands on Dinky Island, inhabited by... oh, it's Herman Toofrot. He's here to teach philosophy.
Could you teach me some philosophy?
Okay, here's a Zen koan for you.
A what?
A philosophical puzzle. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, what color is the tree?
Forest green?
Nope.
Brown?
Not even close.
Blue?
Nope.
Red?
Nope.
Cyan?
Nah.
This goes on for quite a while.
Beryl?
Not even close.
Hot pink?
Nah.
Oatmeal heather?
Nope.
All colors?
Exactly! Now, what has this experience taught you?
That philosophy isn't worth my time.
Oh, I'm very impressed. It takes most people years to reach this point.
In order to find the treasure of Big Whoop, Guybrush has to feed a parrot, who provides him with directions in a weird jungle filled with nothing but lush vegetation and aggressive games hindline advisors.
I'm lost in the Dinky Island jungle in Monkey 2.
I told you, just walk off the edge of the screen. How hard could that be?
Eventually, we find the Ujex and manage to blow our way in with dynamite and snag the treasure. We then reach the point where we came in. Guybrush plummets since Elaine cruelly decided to literally leave him hanging. I mean, what did he ever do to her?
I came all this way to see you. At least get me a beer.
You have 3 seconds to leave my room. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah. He finds himself stuck in a tunnel with his foe, LeChuck, who is armed with a voodoo doll. LeChuck drops a terrible truth to Guybrush, a plot twist that has never once been done before. Not ever. Nuh-uh.
We are bound to one another.
Like dreadlocks?
Yes, rather like that. Or like... brothers.
Huh?
I am your brother.
No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
It still shakes me to my very core to this very day. Despite this brotherly revelation, LeChuck still hopes to murder Guybrush in cold blood through torturing him. It seems the voodoo doll doesn't work as intended, sending Guybrush to different rooms in the tunnels instead. Generally speaking, this part of the game is actually pretty startling, being stalked by a zombie pirate who appears out of nowhere, and once he does, there is no time to escape. You just need to watch Guybrush get zapped a bunch of times as he screams, out in pain, repeatedly. You know, as you'll find in a family game. I don't know why LeChuck doesn't give up and kill him the old-fashioned way, since it doesn't seem to be working, but oh well. To beat LeChuck, Guybrush needs to gather ingredients to make his own version of LeChuck voodoo doll. This means following the same recipe he used in the first chapter to defeat Largo. He needs something of the Fred, head, body, and dead. Getting something of the Fred is a little unorthodox. You just need to give the horrific shambling zombie monster chasing you with full intent of murdering you a wedgie. Now, I've made some terrible life choices in my day, but this is taking the cake. Taking something of the head also involves wedging LeChuck's beard between elevator doors and forcing it up. It just feels like we're making the shambling corpse madder and madder, which is really not a thing you want to do. Trust me, I've been there. Perhaps a peace offering will do. How about we offer him this handkerchief and let bygones be bygones? Ugh, gross. Well, that was a nice thought while it lasted. At least we managed to snag something of the body, I guess. Ugh. Finally, we just need something of the dead. Now, where are we going to find something of the dead? I mean, LeChuck is literally a corpse, but I guess that won't do. What to do? Oh, I know. How about the corpses of Guybrush's parents that are conveniently located down the tunnel? He sure doesn't seem to be fazed by his dead parents, does he? I mean, maybe if LeChuck really is Guybrush's brother, then the voodoo doll might work. Only one way to find out, huh?
Monster kill.
As LeChuck lies, dying, he begs Guybrush to come closer and to remove his mask. Guybrush does so, and it's revealed that it's actually his brother Chucky all along. A janitor comes in to yell at these kids arguing, and they both leave, as children. You might be wondering what exactly has happened, and trust me, we're all wondering too. They get a stern talking to for disappearing by their parents, who actually have skin for a change, which is nice. I guess in the end, this was all just the fantasy of a young child playing make-believe, which I guess makes sense, given how insane it was. I guess the series ends with a lovely visit to the park, as a family, enjoyed by all. Or does it?